Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Fry, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show, your one-stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
Just like every other podcast. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm Daniel. Alongside with me is Big Blue.
How you doing, man? Everybody? Doing good.
Richard Allen Delphi. This is the first case that we started talking about true crime. There's a little bit more, a couple more pieces of the puzzle that have been dropped today, as they had a couple of court hearings today. Did you get a chance to check out any of them?
Yeah, I got to listen to a few of the surprising dilemmas that came out of there.
Yeah, some surprising stuff. That's for dang sure. But before we get into it, guys, I want to tell you something, or show you guys something exciting here. We got a new shirt. It's gonna be coming out. It's already out. Actually, you can purchase it. I just ordered mine a little while ago, so mine will be coming out here pretty soon. But we have a new T-shirt. It's on the Bonfire website. It's in the description. It is the Things of That Nature T-shirt. We have one for the dudes and females. It's a tree, obviously. It says Drunk Turkey Show right next to it. Underneath it says Things of That Nature. And they come in green and black. And then you also have it for the ladies. Check that out. In black and in green. Big Blue, are you going to buy this one or what?
Yeah, I think I look good in it. Show off
I
my
think
muscles.
Do it, dude. Good. Bring it on the show, my man. Bring it on the show. It'll be great. So yeah, go check those out. Bonfire. And if you do pick one up, you end up getting that. Or if you've purchased some of our other T-shirts, we have the hashtag DTS Drunk Turkey Show T-shirts. We also have the Drunk Turkey logo with the sweatshirt, male, female, and they come in a variety of colors. My favorite is the yellow in this one. So go check out Bonfire. That's our store. You won't be disappointed. With that being said, let's get into what happened today in Delphi. There was a couple of hearings that occurred. One of them was going to be on the contempt for the attorneys. Apparently there was a few things that were there being argued, everything from emails to the pictures that were being linked to YouTubers coming out. Apparently there was a little bit of a fight as well, and we'll get into that. I'm not gonna lie, when I heard that there was a fight out there between two YouTubers in the parking lot, they caught me off guard, man. It made me laugh so hard.
I know.
So let's get into this. I'm gonna break down Bob Motta's defense diaries. He was actually in the court hearing, and he has a first-hand experience of what was going on today and some pretty startling stuff. I wasn't there, obviously, neither were you, Big Blue, and we can go through all these news articles that can be biased one way or another and maybe not paint the entire picture or say everything that was coming out in court. So I thought it would probably be in our best interest to hear from somebody who was actually in court. And let's go to the defense diaries, Bob Motta. This is from a live he had earlier today. Go check him out if you haven't done so. Make sure you give him a like and a subscribe and let him know that the Drunk Turkey Show sent you. But let's listen to what he had to say about his experience in court and things like that.
Hearing was the motion to dismiss. And that was, if you're not aware, if you can't recall, because it's been a minute, the motion to dismiss was for the destruction of potentially exculpatory evidence. So this was the...
I take over the interviews. Oops.
Exactly. Of Brad Holder. Or whatever. I keep calling everybody Brad. Is that guy's?
I feel like
I heard a lot of Brads today. There was Brad Holder, Brad Rowe, a lot of Brads, a lot of bradding happening. So
apparently the Delphi Police Department and Carroll County Sheriff's Department taped over some of the interviews that were done or conducted with some of the people that Richard Allen's defense team is accusing to have a hand in the murders of Libby and Abby. Now, I think that could seem, or that would be suspicious. Now, if we find out that it wasn't just the Delphi tapes that got recorded over, it was every tape that they have during a specific 2-month span that got recorded over. Blue, does that make it less or more suspicious finding out that it's every tape that got destroyed? And with that being said, should the case be thrown out based off of that?
I don't think it could be thrown out, but I mean, that's just horrible policing right there, man.
I know.
Why are they still using tapes when they have computers and Well,
this is 2017 in a small place.
They still had the computer, CPU. They can download the audio recordings and USB every single one. I mean, USBs are still $10 a pop back then. They're probably like $2 now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all they had to do to save each case. Save them onto a USB. Throw it in a box.
If you were a person though on the jury, and the defense team comes out and says, we highly suspect that these individuals here are the ones involved. And let's just say they have some sort of inclination that they were, all indications are that they have some sort of evidence that at least would sway somebody to believe that these other individuals could be involved. If you were a juror and you're hearing this other evidence of Elvis Fields, Brad Holder, and then you're finding out that their tapes are being recorded over or destroyed. How much confidence would that leave you in the prosecution's case there?
I mean, it would give you a little bit of benefit of the doubt. It would give you a little bit like, hey, what else did they drop the ball on?
I agree.
It sucks. Because you can't paint over wet paint and just keep spilling.
That's absolutely true, man. That's probably one of the smartest things you've said on the show. But you're absolutely right. To me, if I was on the jury and I heard this, I'm like, well, how can we say that this guy didn't change his story? You know, what if there is more to it? Some of the accusations from, for instance, Elvis Fields, you know, they kind of show themselves here. And there's a lot more. Let's continue this.
He had the argument. And so the first witness he puts on, which I loved. So he put on Todd Click of Click, Ferenczi, and Murphy, the three cops who would continue to investigate the Odin angle. And it was really interesting testimony. It wasn't too far removed from what was contained in the memo. He echoed a lot of it. I found it very fulfilling that he came in and basically, you know, when the murder sheet had put his statement on, they had broken it up into two different things, kind of like tamping down,
Right.
like that he really thought that, and that changed today. He made it clear he was very upset when he saw that Richard Allen was arrested, you know, to the extent, because he was done. He had finished his investigation the day that Ferenczi was assassinated or shot in front of that federal building. So that was back in 2021. Like he quit investigating that, and he was adamant about it. You know, his thing with Elvis Fields, you know, I mean, he was like, because what Brad was doing is, and I promise, guys, I'll go through this with all my notes, but when I'm doing that, I'm gonna have to read. I'm kind of giving you like a synopsis because I know everybody wanted to know what was going on. So one of the things that Baldwin she gave Baldwin a lot of leeway. So he gives him a lot of leeway. So he's basically going through nothing having to do with Holder. And remember that the motion dismiss is based exclusively on the destruction or overwriting of Brad Holder's interview. All right. So, and Andy's got Click on the stand, not talking anything about Holder for the first 45 minutes. He's really focusing on Fields. Elvis Fields is one of the, you know, the 5 or 6 individuals that they named in the memo. Elvis Fields is the one who went back to Murphy. Like Murphy, he originally was in the station. They filled in some gaps. Like I didn't know that they originally had interviewed Fields at the police station. Okay. So when Murphy's driving him back to his trailer, he gets out of the car. That's when he comes back and says, hey, you know, I just want to, you know, I wanted to ask you, you know, if you happen to find my spit on the girls, and this is exactly what Click's testimony was today. If you happen to find my spit on the girls and I can explain it to you, I'm good, right?
The first thing that he explained there that I thought I hadn't heard either was that the Elvis Fields interview happened at the police department, right? And as he's leaving, he says, you know, if you find my spit on the girls, I can explain it. I'm good, right? I mean, doesn't that set off all sorts of red flags for you, Big Blue?
It does, man. Like, especially since they were found murdered. And why would you spit beyond the girls? How can you explain that?
I don't know. I mean, why would he even bring that up? Why bring that up all of a sudden?
And especially now that you're putting it to evidence, you're gonna have to bring Fields in for some questions.
Yeah, I agree. Let's continue this.
Baldwin's like, well, I mean, I assume that you thought that was pretty important, that statement. And he's like, yeah, I did, obviously. You know, so we get into that as it progresses. The longer that Baldwin goes, the more the state's objecting. She's like, this isn't relevant. This isn't relevant. You know, none of this is relevant. This is all relating to not Brad Holder's interview. Like I don't know. And Baldwin's counter argument to it was that, you know, one of the things that I have to establish in order to prevail in a motion to dismiss that it was done in bad faith, and bad faith is not easy to prove. You know what I mean? So I thought that it was relevant. You know, that there was an entire line of legitimate investigation going on by 3 very qualified, well-respected cops from 2 different agencies. Like these guys weren't like, I said it the other night, these guys weren't like dipshit cops. You know, they were all good cops that really still to this day. I mean, Click came in and testified. We can anticipate that he will be testifying on behalf of the defense at trial, guaranteed. And it was compelling. You could hear a pin drop in there.
So, I mean, even that alone, Blue, I mean, if you're having a former investigator that has investigated this crime alone, coming in and testifying alongside of the defense as to this probably being somebody else involved, I mean, that should bring in all sorts of reasonable doubt on its own. I mean, I know that that's probably impactful as hell on a jury.
I mean, it can be, but he never said that Richard Allen didn't commit it. He just said that it might have been somebody else there, which, you know, he's still part of the murder. He's part of it.
Like me, I think he was involved. When you look at his testimony, as far as him being there, and when you look at the map and the timing he was there and stuff like that, the statements that he has made, makes it very difficult for him not to be the guy there on the bridge. But did he have other people involved? Elvis Fields said that he had brothers. I believe it was plural. You know, that him and other people helped him. It wasn't just one. Is it possible that one of those people that nobody knows about could have been Richard Allen? I don't know. I do want to say this: Richard Allen's current attorneys and the attorneys that Richard Allen was given during the time in which his current attorneys were taken off of the case both claim that Richard Allen is innocent and have gone above and beyond to claim these things that a typical lawyer wouldn't have to do, especially if they didn't think that their client was innocent. Does that make you think one way or another, Big Blue, the strength of the belief of his attorneys, both current and the ones that are no longer involved in the case, which don't necessarily have to say anything?
I think they have to try to be, forceful and say, hey, we believe that he didn't do it, because the evidence is still damning that the bullets that came from the gun that was found in his home. Still pretty damning in a murder case, especially when it's found under the bodies. They gotta be like, also because you're trying to push the jury to, think somebody else might have been the murderers. He might have been there. Somebody else might have committed them. That's where I think the angle that they're trying to push. It's like he was probably there, but somebody else did
Maybe. I mean, they're only charging him. It don't seem like they're charging anybody else. From their statements early on, it made it seem like they were still looking for other people. But as of recent, it don't seem like they think that anybody else was involved.
I think that they haven't found evidence that anybody else was there. That's the hard part. Or maybe they did, and they just haven't let it out because they haven't found them.
Maybe.
Like, he was a very compelling witness, and he went through, and when I get through it later, I mean, he said some things that we did not hear, that we had not heard. There were definitely some very interesting things. None of the YouTubers, they definitely didn't read any of the letters sent in by anybody, in case anybody was wondering that. None of the letters were read.
The judge was fascinated with that stuff.
No, they shouldn't even mention them. They won't even mention it at any point, in any way, shape, or form. Rick Snay, who was supposed to testify.
That's just gossipy stuff that we've got to know.
No, that actually happened. So, they gave us a lunch break, and Snay was chatting me up in the hallways, when we were leaving for lunch. So we're coming out, I make it down to the first floor. This was up on the third. The courtroom was up on the third floor. And there's I'm just coming down the stairs, and 6 cops come running by me. I'm like, ooh, what the hell's going on? They burst out of the courthouse, and they're running out into kind of the plaza. And I get out there, and I'm walking, and I see they're talking, and Snay's out there. He comes up, he's like, so Bob, they kicked me out of the courthouse. They're not gonna let me come in and testify. I'm like, what's going on, Rick? What's happening, dude? He's like, there's no way guy. He was talking shit about my wife. No way guy, who I have no idea who he is, was clearly trying to antagonize Snay.
All right, so Snay was a guy that was supposed to be testifying earlier. He's actually been on our show. Shout out to Rick Snay and Delphi After Dark. We have a few things I want to show you about that supposed incident that occurred, or alleged incident.
Yeah, I knew I recognized no one out there. I was like, I know this guy.
So this is one of the things.
Began at 9 o'clock this morning.
And good afternoon, Melissa. And sometimes
I'm just gonna mute him. Check out in the background. Look to off his right shoulder there. You're going to see a bunch of cops running in here in a second. And shout out to Criming Shame. They sent me this. I saw it earlier on their live, and they said, there they go. They're the cops running, bursting out of the doors real fast, like they said. Look at that. I think I even have the speed up. Let me go back, because that was by far not very quick.
It's a jog pace.
Nah, man. Motta said that they busted out of the court doors, flying down. So let's see these officers in a dead sprint.
Okay, that's a little quicker.
I don't think that's quick though.
They probably weren't too much into it.
But there's more to it. We got a little bit more than just that. We actually have, and this was off of criminality.
It's crazy how, because all the YouTubers there covering the case, there's so much video, and you can't take your phone inside.
Right. So this is outside of the courtroom, and this is when apparently things are about to go down. I have it muted. Let's see. I'm going to unmute it now. They're going to point out Rick Snay here in a second. Let me put this so it's larger.
Uh-oh.
There he is walking with a purpose. I don't know why it's there. It is.
There's Snay. Zoom back in, Jinx. Zoom back in. Oh, right there. Right there.
It's hard to see.
So there's Snay. You guys probably can barely see that, huh? So there's Snay, and he's just up in Noe's face.
These are some older guys too. You know what I mean? I think both these guys
are probably gonna film something
over 50.
Oh, here we go. Oh, there's Frank Meister. There's Frank Meister. I don't know who that is that just walked over there.
And that's it. We got to give these guys their say, right? I mean, we can't just put this out there and not let them speak about what occurred. Yeah. So let's hear what Snay has to say about this situation.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am just now leaving the courthouse. Did I testify? No, they threw me out. And you know why? Because Noe got in my face and I kept him backed up. I got in trouble because Noe started shit with me, and I got witnesses. Really funny, because when the guy came up to throw me out, first thing he said was, "Do you have a subpoena?" And I said, "No, but I'm here to testify." And he goes, "Well, you're out of here." And I said, "No, you need to talk to Mr. Hennessy if you want me out of here, because he's the one that called me." And first of all, when I first was in the courthouse, Noe stalked me into a stairway and tried to get shit, tried to start shit with me. I got right up nose to nose with the little son of a bitch. And I told him, I said, "Man, I'm going to hurt you, Noe." He goes, "No, you're not. I'm going to take out your ACL." I said, "No."
It's a pretty crazy threat there. I'm going to take out your ACL. Has anybody ever threatened you with that, Big Blue?
No, I never get myself in those situations. Man.
This is crazy. Let's continue this. We're just not even a minute into this.
So I'm going to choke you out, and I'm going to rip that fucking ugly face of yours off. So then
there's so much violence.
I go in the courtroom and, watching all the things going on and everything, sitting in the back of the courtroom, not saying a word, just sitting there in the courtroom. Right?
Isn't that what you're supposed to do in a courtroom?
Hey.
I'm not making fun of you, Rick. But that's what you're supposed to do. What do you think?
You're supposed to sit in the back and clap every time you hear the word.
Let's continue this.
No, it happened outside, so I don't know why.
Well, it started inside, and he backed him into a corner. He says, like I said again, I'm not trying to make fun of Rick. It's just this entire situation was a little bit embarrassing. I'd be embarrassed about the situation if I got into an altercation outside of a courtroom in a case that I was asked to testify on, and I get in an argument because somebody has some sort of opinion about me or somebody else. Come on now, you know what I mean?
Sometimes it's just people talk. So
it's not going to stop anything.
Rick. Just ignore them. You missed your day in court.
That's true.
And the guy tries to say I'd been causing problems all day. Causing problems by staring Tobe Lesenby down from the back of the room when he was in the other room there, in the judge's little side room there. Made eye contact with him. I wasn't going to look away. I waited till he did. And then he talked to somebody and was pointing toward me. So they were trying to find a reason to throw me out. But then Noe, like I said, was walking out at lunchtime. He's walking by behind some people and he's going, "Ricky, Ricky, 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 Ricky." And I just went, "Hey, Noe," like that. He started taking a couple steps toward me. So I took a couple steps toward him. And then all of a sudden, everybody's in between us and stuff. And somebody pulled me away. And it was someone that's been on my channel before. It goes by Gambies. And we went for a walk and we were talking and everything. And here comes this Lieutenant Hogan that runs the building. That's when he told me, he says, first he says, "You have a subpoena?" And I said, "No, but I'm here to testify." Well, then he threw me out. Or he said he was going to throw me out. I told him, "No, you're not." And he went to talk to Mr. Hennessy. Well, I went outside, right? And when he was walking away, he goes, "You've been a problem all day." And I said, "I have?" I said, "What did I do? I've been sitting in the back of the room, keeping my mouth shut."
Apparently that's an issue. I mean, he said that earlier, right? Like, how dare they sit in the back of the room quietly?
In an orderly fashion.
You're right. Oh my gosh.
I was hugging Richard Allen's mom. Oh, that's a problem. That's a problem.
What?
But they all were coming. They had, when I left the building for lunch, Noe was fucking mouthing me again, jawing me. So I walked right up to him and he kept backing up. I was like, "Come on, man, come on." And then all of a sudden, here they are again. They got like 15, 20 cops. "Go, get out of here. You're going to jail." I said, "You guys don't fucking scare me." So,
I saw 4 cops running around the corner. They look like it took them a while to get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it looks like they probably thought it was already over, but they still had to go talk to him.
I mean, by the time they got there, I'm fairly positive at least 75% of them, if not more, were out of breath and we're not being as cool, calm, and collective or as upfront as what he's claiming they are. Let's continue this.
They threw me out and now I don't get to testify, but it's no big deal. But you know who didn't show up? Holly. Holly didn't show up. Don't have the balls to face me, do you?
I'm just going to leave that at that.
Anyway, I talked to Bob Motta for a while. Oh my God. Go was like, denied.
I bet you that's the only reason Bob Motta admitted that he talked to him. Is because Rick Snay told everybody that he talked to him earlier. What do you think, Blue?
I don't know. Maybe. I wasn't there, so I can't prove or disprove it. So.
Well, Bob Motta says he spoke to Rick Snay, and that Rick Snay came up to him, and I was like, why even bring that up? I mean, he really didn't have anything to do with the argument that happened outside or anything, right? Now I realize the reason why he brought it up is because Rick Snay brought him up in this little video.
Gotcha. Okay.
And every freaking objection that Hennessy made, overruled. And then Hennessy was having trouble hearing because she mumbles. You mumble, Franny. She mumbles. And Hennessy was having a hard time hearing her. And she goes, "Do you need a hearing assistance device?" Oh, my God. Fixes in, people. Fixes in. Not to mention, my ear. Holman made a point of saying he knew the pictures that Cohen had didn't come from the defense or didn't come from the prosecution, because where they were edited, yes, edited, Holly, no naked pictures of dead children. Where they were edited, he said there was a bar on the top and a circle on the bottom, and ISP uses 2 rectangles. He said there would have been 2 rectangles if it would have been them. Well, guess what? My pictures had 2 rectangles. I gotta go find something to eat. I bet I can.
Do you remember the pictures, Blue? I have them. I don't want to pull them up, obviously. Well, I don't have them, but we had them. And
I don't remember.
I don't know if they're still in our email or not. I'm not going to go look for them and pull them up. Did they have 2 rectangles? I know they had one.
I don't remember.
Yeah, they did have 2 rectangles on one of them. Huh. Well, food for thought.
Find something down there. I'm gonna go down there. All right. I will be back tonight to do a full live stream about this. They threw me out, man. They won't let me talk. Oh my God. Skip was there, right? First, I came out and I saw Julie Melvin sitting there. So I went over to her and Skip was sitting next to her. And I said, hey, Julie, do you approve of what your little friend Noe is doing to my wife? And she acted like she didn't know. Oh, I don't know anything. Liar.
So he said that they were coming up to him. However, he's going up to them in this aspect of the story. What are they doing to his wife?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I don't get into that part of the YouTube world.
Yeah, we don't get into the drama stuff because we don't ever want to be on this side of the drama or looking like this. If you guys ever see us in a car driving and talking like this, just resend us this live and remind us not to be like this.
I don't think I have enough time to do this, man. You have to have time to record yourself while driving, which is illegal in some states.
Let's see what's going on.
So I said, yeah, he's saying that she gave me information from Delphi, and both her and Skip were like, how would they know anything about Delphi? How would she know about it? It's like, yeah, why haven't you said that to her or Noe and Holly? And then Skip goes, hey, Rick. And I go, hey, Skip. And he goes, hey, Rick, and stuck his hand out there. I go, oh, no, thanks, man. That shit don't come off, Anyway, I am on my way. Yeah, they kicked me out, dude. No, he didn't get kicked out. No, he got to stay. Noe has been causing problems all day. He started out by going in and he was knocking on Jinx.
So the guy that was causing problems all day didn't get kicked out. Is that what I'm getting here?
That's what he said. I think it's one of those things where like something happened between them. They both should be like, hey, cut it out, come back tomorrow. Don't bother doing it again. Now you're completely out of this case, kind of deal. Mm-hmm. But it shouldn't have to be that way, man. It's a court case about, we're trying to find, some justice for these 2 families that lost these 2 girls. And I mean, this is just going to turn another spin for the wild media to keep going, which I mean, we're doing it too, but hey. I mean, it was in there, man. This was part of what the defense team was arguing about, or the prosecution, one of them was arguing about YouTubes and YouTubers and some of the stuff that they're saying and that they're doing. And they've been leaked some information. Hell, we've gotten leaked some information, not from anybody I can assume, or I assume because we don't know who they are. But if we are to believe the information that we got, somebody was a mod for somebody else, sent us the information. So it wasn't like it was one of these people that were involved in this leakage. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was going on, and somebody does need to be accountable for it. They're gonna find out eventually who leaked the photos. I mean, well, they already know who leaked the photos. I mean, they got fired, and one of them took his life. Yeah, his own life. I know. It's that situation. Yeah. Well, let's get back to the some of these bombshells that Bob Motta still has yet to tell us.
To get him to snap.
You got to see that coming, not walk into it.
Well, especially when the guy's filming it. Like, he might even have been on it live. Like how much do you like?
He's got himself muted and he's just saying hideous shit to get him to act up or something. Lord.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny.
Well, it sounds bad for Rick.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. Fortunately, they didn't really need him to testify. But I mean, come on, dude. Like, control yourself. It's like you're low hanging fruit, and you allow somebody to get under your skin like that when you're there to testify. So yeah, he got booted. That was all.
Dude, if somebody was trying to get to you, that is an easy way.
So the click testimony lasted for quite a bit. He then put on his second witness. It fell flat, and I was really excited when he called her. It was Brad Holder's ex-wife, Amber, and I'm like, ooh, this is a good one. And she was like the kind of the heart of the questioning, because like she let him do an offer of proof, because she basically objected and said, look, this doesn't have anything to do with Brad's interview being destroyed by the state. And he kept arguing. He's like, look, I'm trying to establish bad faith.
How important it was.
Right. I'm trying to show that it is relevant, and that they had all these things going on, that this was a very legitimate lead. And for whatever reason, for reasons unknown, they just abandoned this shit, and like, because Click said unequivocally on the stand today, exactly what I've been saying, what my opinion on the PCA with Allen is like, he's like, I looked at it and I thought it was weak. And I also thought that the evidence that we had collected would put together a much stronger case against these individuals than what they had against Rick Allen. Hence, he then writes the letter. I know I jumped from Amber to Amber was a letdown because they didn't really she didn't get to say a word.
Well, what was the offer of proof? What was he going to have her say?
So Amber worked at public storage for a year and 3 months. Twice talked to law enforcement about the Delphi murders. The first objection comes lack of foundation. So the state objects and says, "Oh, can you give me a time frame of when this interview was?" And he wasn't prepared with it. Like these guys are like Luddite attorneys. Like neither of them had a computer in there. They're like paper file guys. They're like me. They're like, oh, where's my shit? I gotta looking through. And like ultimately that was the objection.
She's gonna object to lack of foundation. They know when the interview was. The only reason the defense doesn't is because the stuff disappears.
I know. So she calls a sidebar. They go up there. Obviously, conversation takes a left turn. I could vaguely hear, this is your motion. I can't help it. You didn't include this with Amber in your motion to dismiss. I'm making you stick to the four corners of your pleading. So like I heard her saying that to some effect. So that's basically what cut his legs off. She was saying, I'm not allowing you to go outside of what you argued in your motion, which Amber clearly was. So ultimately, she says that, she had information that when Brad had told her that when the relationship between him and Patrick Westfall fell apart was when they were doing a ritual near a river, and that there was a fallout because Westfall wanted to move beyond just sacrificing animals.
What do you think about that, Big Blue? They fell out because of a ritual. Now, we knew based off of the 136-page document that they had a falling out, according to the defense, because they didn't agree on a ritual by the river. Now we find out that the fight the disagreement of the ritual was one of them wanted to move on from sacrificing animals.
Pretty crazy. So I wonder if they did move on. Sounds like they did.
Exactly. Let's continue.
So, I mean, you can intuit what they meant, or, what he was saying.
That's the first time we heard anyone say that, or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a big thing. She gave Hennessy, which I have a feeling that you'll be writing it, a memo of law. She gave him 7 days to prepare that. She then gave McClelland until April 1st to prepare his. Paul said, I want to accelerate. I want to move to the next level. Forget animals, which obviously sounds like it means people.
Obviously.
It's about an animal, right? She also said that.
So wait, was that an offer of proof, or she actually testified to those words?
They wouldn't let.
It's all in
proof. This is what she would have testified to.
All right.
So I actually, when she was.
So this is what she would have testified to, and who they're talking about is Brad Holder's wife. This is something that she would have testified to, that she heard this. How does he know what they would have testified to? I'm just curious. I'm not saying anything like, Motta's involved in the defense or anything like that, but I'm just curious as to what he knows, what her defense would have been.
I mean, he said he can hear the sidebar, which you can in most courtrooms. So maybe.
But to hear that they were going to go into this aspect of the defense, I don't know.
Sounds like he has an inside person.
Could be. Well, he was talking to somebody that maybe talking to Hennessy and stuff in the live chat. Michael, I think is what he referred to him as. But all right.
She's leaving. I passed her my number because I would like to get her to come on and testify to what she would have said in court.
So he wants her to come on to his channel to testify to what she would have said in court. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but I don't know how that would fly, right now before any trial or anything like that. I would think that wouldn't be okay to have somebody testify on something that they weren't allowed to testify in court, to put that out there in the public.
Yeah, I think they would have to wait at least till the case is over. Not, like I said, you're just putting more you're just giving more chances to Richard Allen's defense about not having a fair trial.
Yeah.
Well, I told her to ask Brad and Andy if that was okay. Like, I don't want to jam her up like testifying at trial.
Well, yeah,
I think we'd all like to hear it. I know. Right.
Yeah, but if she's going to testify, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Another really interesting thing that came out the offer of proof is that Brad said that he had seen, and he, of course, telling, so it's basically double hearsay, that he had seen on Westfall's phone a video of girls being posed in a certain way with sticks on them. Like a video.
Wait, now who on whose phone?
So Brad told Amber, his now ex-wife, that on Patrick's phone he had seen a video of the girls, of not Abby and Libby.
Right, no, I get it. Other girls.
Oh, another big thing that came out during Click's time.
What do you think about that, Blue? That there was supposedly, and this is double hearsay, so this is his wife, or Brad Holder's wife, saying that she saw, or saying that Brad Holder told her that he had seen on Patrick Westfall's phone that there were these pictures of girls who were posed in a certain way with sticks on them. I mean, it doesn't describe the pose or the sticks, but it does sort of describe what's going on in the scene when it comes to the scene of this crime. The girls were posed and there were sticks placed on top of them. What do you think about that tidbit of information?
Oh, that's pretty interesting, man. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, see, for me, I think it has to come down to timing, right? When did she say this? Because this is the first time we hear about this. Is that something that she came up with recently, or is it something that she's been saying since before. Because if this was something that was said early on in the investigation, I think that's pretty damning. What do you think?
Yeah, it is pretty crazy, that information. If they came out early during the investigation, it could be like, why didn't they continue looking at that and then roll it out? You know what I mean? Or maybe they did.
Maybe.
So he was trying to establish the connections between Holder, Westfall, Fields, Johnny Messer. So he's going through this with Click, and he's, were you able to establish connections? He's like, yes. And so he was able to connect Messer and Fields. So Johnny Messer was a guy, and they both lived in Rushville, okay, like a different town. But he asked Click if he was able to establish, was Messer recruiting Vinlanders down in Rushville, and he was able to establish that he was, by talking to two other guys that had said, yeah, Messer was trying to recruit us to be Vinlanders. And then so the
Fields
connection
is in that
with
group where he was going, or Fields is somewhere else?
No, he's in Rushville. He's in Rushville. Now remember, everyone likes to discount Elvis Fields saying what he said because he has a low IQ. I don't buy that. I think that a guy with a low IQ is the guy who walks back to a police car and says, hey, if I spit on the girls' heads and but I can give you is a bright guy doing that? I don't know. And I keep hearing people poo-poo the antlers. So Click has seen the evidence, he's seen the photos, and he said like unequivocally there were sticks out of antlers out of Abby's hair.
So we've seen the pictures, and I've said that those sticks there that are coming out of Abby's hair, in my opinion, were placed there. The sticks were inside in her hair. Her hair wasn't on top of it. I think that the sticks were even on top of a lot of her hair. And that told me they were placed there. Now, did they look like horns or in the shape of horns? To me, not in the position of which they were in when the picture was taken. Doesn't mean that was the position they were in when the person who left them there put them in. Wind, animals, other type of things can cause something as small as these sticks to move, because these were very thin, tiny sticks. I mean, I would more describe them as twigs than sticks. Big Blue, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I remember a little bit of the sticks around one of the photos, but I don't remember, like I said, when we got these, I didn't look at them too thoroughly, because, at first I was like, are these real? But then I'm like, they kind of look like it, and then they were a little blurry, so I saw them like a few times, but I didn't focus on them because, I just thought it'd be more, I wasn't trying to be not disrespectful to the girls, because it's pretty crazy how they got leaked, so. Yeah, but if you're working the case, I mean, yeah, you would have better access and more photos. I'm pretty sure they took more than just. And then what we had gotten were like images of images, so they were blurry.
Yeah. As far as Trina's asking, were the sticks cut or natural? It appeared to me that they were all natural, except for maybe perhaps there's supposedly one. The defense is arguing was cut by a tool. Maybe, I don't know. From what I could see from it, it could have been. But I wouldn't say with a for sure certainty. Now, if there were more than just one that appeared to be cut by a tool, I think you can go in there and say, hey, you had several of these that were straight, completely cut across, that it would have appeared to have been cut with a tool. But to only cut one on one side of it or whatever, and I'm going based off memory, and it's been a while since I've seen them. But no, it didn't appear like they were cut by anything. The twigs itself didn't. I think the only one that did was one of the larger branches that was on top of the girls.
I mean, I remember the drawings more than I remember the photos, because the drawings we went over them on the video, and then the photos, like I said, I probably glanced at them one or twice when we first got them, thinking, are these the ones from the? I said, nah, it can't be. And then you messaged me like, I think they are. And then
see, because if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, but didn't they cross like that? Like in her hair, they went like this.
I don't remember.
I don't either, but they weren't sticking out like horns. They weren't sticking straight up. It appeared like they were crossing like that. I could be wrong. It's been a while, but that's what I thought I remember seeing. I could be wrong. But it didn't look like horns. It didn't look like antlers. Maybe antennas would be a way of describing it, because the twigs kind of had like a thin curve to them. Think of like one of those that you get in trouble and they whip you with. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, the witch.
Yeah. One of those. It kind of looked like a small, thin one of those. Let's continue.
Okay. Like, so people keep saying that doesn't exist. We now have testimony from Todd Click. It did exist. And that
this is crazy. Like, I am shocked.
Crazy. This was the closest thing to like a trial that you're going to see. Like this was like what I've been waiting for a year and a half with the motion to dismiss. You know what I mean? It was something else. So it gets better. So he establishes with Johnny Messer. Yeah.
All right. See, now I forget which one. Okay. So Messer's the guy that says they were recruiting in this area.
Right. But like, so they're trying to make the connections between Westfall, Messer, Holder, and Fields. So it turns out that Johnny Messer's uncle, Billy Messer, lived with Elvis Fields. So
what?
There's your connection to Elvis Fields.
You're kidding me right now.
Why would I kid about it?
So now there's a connection between Mercer and Fields. There's been a connection between Mercer and Holden and Westfall. apparently Mercer was recruiting for the Inlanders, which is the group that Holder and Westfall were running.
Dang.
Right.
See, that's all lining up, which is pretty crazy.
Exactly. It's the dots are kind of connecting here. So there is a connection there. And Mercer was in Rushfield where Elvis Fields was during the time of this incident. So it's not like he was in Delphi and he was over here 2 hours away. No, they were together. And I'm reminded by we had seen a YouTube video from Julie Melvin, who was talking with him. I think his name was Max, who was a friend of one of the girls, who had said that he had gotten invited out to the trail that day with one of the girls as a friend to go out there. Don't you think that Abby would have invited her boyfriend, who happened to be Brad Holder's son, also to that trail?
Maybe, but I remember that story that they were inviting her. They're inviting him kind of like as a, I think, backup because they were worried that it was a setup.
No. It's not what she said.
No,
He said that he got invited and that it seemed like there was more people that were getting invited.
Okay, and I'm talking about a different interview. I'm talking about that kid that
You talking about Keegan Kline?
No, back to the story where they were going back to her chatting with somebody online.
Oh yeah, well, she was chatting with Keegan Kline, and supposedly there was a rumor that he was supposed to meet up with somebody, but I don't know. I don't even know if that's true. Keegan Kline denies that conversation happened. He says it didn't happen, and that they were trying to use that as some sort of interrogation piece to try to get him to confess. But no, he supposedly had said that he had known who one of the girls were on Instagram, and supposedly said that he was supposed to meet up with her. But that's different than what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. I got those crossed. That's something.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we covered like the old information from the case. So.
Yeah. So for me, I just think that, Elvis Fields' statements, and I've said this since that Odin reports come out, that it's made me question a lot about this case.
Oh,
So-
yeah. Okay, so Click is the main officer. He's which kind of? He's a state police, local police, which?
Who? Click?
Click.
At the time, I'll have to look. I'll have to answer.
Oh, it's all
later.
right. But he's one of the three of the law
Yeah,
enforcement
he's
who were
one of
like, you guys
yeah.
abandoned this Odin thing too long.
Exactly. Well, he's
and
one of the guys who investigated it for years after. He stopped investigating in 2021. I mean, he
All right,
was
so where
following
does
this
Messer
case,
come from? Like, what made them be looking for the?
Tips.
So I understand.
Tip line. Like that was the same thing with like Brad Holder. Like people started calling in tips right away. Their first interview with Holder was on February 17th, 4 days after the girls were, 3 days after the girls were found. So Messer's ex-wife, a gal named Taylor, and they had her she was in the memo. They talked about Taylor, but like some of these details I did not remember, specifically this one, that she said that she knew that on Johnny Messer's old phone that he actually had a video of a kidnapping of a young girl that he committed. And so Click's like, what? So he ends up getting this phone and verifies that he has, yeah, dude. Yeah. So like this is Johnny Messer. So again, for those who are just joining in, we have Elvis Fields, Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall, and Johnny Messer are kind of the main four they focused on today. So let me just get through this. So Click gets the phone. So, but what he verifies that he does, he has a phone on his phone. He's got a video of him kidnapping a girl at gunpoint. So they then go try to identify the victim, and they can't do it. But it's like it's not like it's not like a fake video. It's like actually this guy like videotaped him committing the crime, which sounds an awful lot like what happened with Abby and Libby on the bridge.
That is insane.
So, but what he verifies that he does, he has a phone on his phone. He's got a video of him kidnapping a girl at gunpoint. So they then go try to identify the victim, and they can't do it. But it's like it's not like it's not like a fake video. It's like actually this guy like videotaped him committing the crime, which sounds an awful lot like what happened with Abby and Libby on the bridge.
I'm confused. I'm trying to think in my mind. Like, I mean, I guess it's like what? No,
That's insane how these people weren't looked at harder. I mean, I think that he's going to go into about some warrants, but they just followed up on. I mean, this is just screaming shoddy police work. If Richard Allen had some part in this crime, I just fear that whether it's Richard Allen, Holder, or any of the before mentioned Odinists, I feel that none of them there's not going to be any justice here, just because of the fact that you have reasonable doubt when it comes to each and all of them. If you were to go and try one of these Odinist guys, all they have to do is bring up Richard Allen and talk about how he claimed he was on the bridge and in the area with the clothes matching that was on the video. He his description of things that he had as far as people that he encountered while he entered into the trail, those type of things are all going to match up, and you're going to have reasonable doubt that maybe perhaps somebody else was involved in this, Richard Allen. So unless they can tie these guys together, Richard Allen and these Odinist folks, it's going to be hard to get some justice in this case.
are they doing anything to try? Like, are they trying to
No,
find
so
this
so
person?
it comes out at that point. Baldwin asks, "Okay, well, I'm assuming at that point you contacted Unified Command and gave them this information and said, based on this information, I want a warrant for both Elvis Fields' house and I want a warrant for Johnny Messer's house. He gives the message to, I think it was Holman. I'm pretty sure it was Holman. That was the one name I didn't write down. And 2 weeks ago, and Holman says, okay, I'll talk to Unified Command and we'll get this rolling with this. Nothing ever happens. They never seek warrants on this. After they find that out, they never get warrants on it.
I don't understand. I just,
and this is long before, like a year before Rick Allen is on anybody's radar. So
someone must know someone. I'm sorry. Someone knows someone, and they just pushed all this shit under the rug.
Hard to explain away.
I'm like dying right now to hear what like the other side is saying, because I can't imagine people could hear this same information and not be.
They're going to dismiss it the same way that they were, despite the fact that this isn't in a pleading. It's Todd Click testifying. Like, that's the difference. Today it was Todd Click, the cop, on the stand testifying, which, again, if you're joining late, that tells us he will definitely be testifying at trial. So the Todd Click thing was like,
all right, wait, where's the phone? Has it been turned over? Does anyone have it? What in the hell is going on?
No one, like, he had to go recover the phone himself, because the way
it's
the
been
phone
tendered to the defense.
So yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it was tendered to the defense. Like, so the defense is who asked him. So, because this is the way it went down. Taylor tells him about the phone.
Taylor is the girlfriend of
the ex-wife of Johnny Messer.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so she knows that this phone exists. She knows what's on that phone. She tells Click about it. Click's and she's got the phone. Okay, so Click then calls Unified Command, and this is before he asks for the warrant. He says, "Okay, like Taylor, the ex-wife of Johnny Messer, has this phone. And it's got a video on it. I want you all to go pick it up." And so he calls Taylor and says, "They're going to be coming to pick that phone up from you." She's like, "Okay, I'll give it to them when they get here." They don't show up. They never pick up the phone. So Click goes and gets it, and he ends up turning it over to the defense. So that's how the defense gets their hands on this phone.
Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah.
They never even pick up the evidence to investigate.
That is insane. That's insane. I mean, you know, she brought up, Allison Motta brought up that, you know, somebody has to know someone somewhere like that around there, because for it not to go through. And I can't disagree with her. Yeah, I can't come up with a rebuttal for that. I mean, to me, that's the most logical explanation as to why this went down the way that it did. I mean, when you not only put this into perspective, you also put into perspective that, you know, there were interviews that were deleted. Now, I know that, you know, a lot of interviews and a lot of things were deleted throughout the entire police station. And I think that if a police officer who knew something about somebody, and let's just say Holder lied about something, right? And what do we know that he may have lied about? He claimed he never knew his son's girlfriend or had never met her before. Here recently, he's changed that. He says he's only met her one time, you know? So maybe perhaps if there was other stuff that didn't jive with the evidence and an officer wanted to get rid of that, or somebody wanted to get rid of that information, they couldn't just get rid of that one person's information. They'd have to get rid of the entire thing, because if it appeared to have only been one person's information that's deleted, then it's would appear to be targeted. Right now, if you scrub everything else that happened during that time, and again, this is Carroll County, Delphi, Indiana, very small place. I reckon that there's probably not a lot of stuff going on during a 70 period time that, you know, even if they deleted some of those things or everything during that time, it probably wasn't going to do much to anything else outside of this case. Interesting stuff so far.
What could be a completely other time?
Exactly. And you know, so ultimately, so the Click thing was very compelling, very, very compelling, and ultimately ends up going to, like I said, Amber Holder comes on. They shut her down. She basically can't say anything. You know, she never testifies this. I don't know beyond like where she worked and how long.
I have to say, if I'm on that jury and I see that phone video and hear this stuff.
For pit bulls, no, this is not a Garcia. I know it kind of looks like it. He's talking about Jerry Garcia, not Anthony.
The tie, yeah, we get it. And you're like hitting us with all this shocking information that you tied.
I know. Like it was an exciting day. And so Holder, you know, like Amber, she gets off the stand and he basically rests there. And at that point, the state put on the cop the cop who was the chief of the Delphi cops back in 2017, and he's the one who discovered that all the videos from the 14th through the 17th in that critical time frame, very critical, the day after, you know, the day that the girls are discovered, you know, for the next 3 days, they don't have any of the video, not just Holder, but any of it, you know. And I'm sitting here like writing questions that I would be asking on cross, you know, about like, okay, well, this Fed Poles who was interviewing Holder, I'm like, did he take notes? So when did he prepare his report? Like, when is his summary report? Because it's only like 6 short paragraphs. How long was the interview? You know, because like what you were saying when we talked about this way back, and look, it's going to get dismissed. I mean, it's going to get denied. She's not going to dismiss the charges.
Right.
Like, as exciting as this is,
has nothing to do with whether the charges.
It has nothing to do with whether or not they intentionally destroyed exculpatory evidence. So
the inference is pretty effing high, though.
You know, but it serves its purpose.
Oh yeah, that's what I was. It's so much better for the defense if it was an accident, which I don't think it was. It's great for the defense because it reeks of hiding every evidence, and given all these other things you're saying,
Yeah, I mean, it was in like kind of the story, and it was a DVR that had like 6 terabytes of. Wait, hold on,
I like can't. I was thinking about it today. Like I got so irritated when I heard that the judge turned down all the requests for funds without a hearing, without the like.
So that's like, and I don't know if anybody knows that. So I mean, I know like obviously Kara knows, but so
I'm gonna just kind of finish up with what they're talking about. The rest of this stuff is going to be the funds thing. So apparently, like these attorneys aren't getting paid, and they haven't been getting paid in a while. They haven't gotten paid to pay their experts or anything. I think they have a $30,000 tab right now, as far as where they're at investigating the case up to this point. And I think that's complete bullcrap. I mean, regardless of if this person committed this crime or not, there's a justice system and there's checks and balances and there's things that are supposed to be done in an appropriate manner for reasons. And it's not happening in this case. This guy's not being forfeited the opportunity to defend himself. He's not being forfeited the opportunity to have all of the evidence presented. I mean, a bunch of this stuff has been deleted or discarded or doesn't exist. And it's not just one or two things. It's a big part of what their defense is. And then you also got to look back at how the prosecution or the state had acted in this situation where, one, they didn't even notify Richard Allen's defense team that there was an Odin investigation. In fact, some of these officers that investigated this avenue had to come forward and explain that to the defense that, hey, we thought that this was probably a ritualistic thing. We thought that these guys were more, there was more evidence to put these guys, through trial and get an arrest for these guys than there is for Richard Allen. Now, I mean, I believe in a world where two things can be right. And you have Richard Allen, who, in my opinion, said that he was out there, put himself in the clothing that is seen by the person on the bridge. And we broke down the bridge video about how tall is the guy on the bridge. And from what I can see, all indications are that it appears to me that the person walking on the bridge is somebody that's fairly short. And there's a bunch of reasons: the size of the pants, the cuffing at the bottom of the pants, there's the jacket on the arm is real scrunched up. Those aren't all indicators usually of somebody who's taller. Those are all indicators of somebody who's shorter, wearing clothes that are too big. The brown bag or holster or whatever people were thinking that it is, I honestly think it's a t-shirt. It is a shirt that's coming out of underneath his jacket. When it comes to Richard Allen, he may be height challenged, but he isn't underweight either. In fact, I think if you look back at some of the videos at the time, he was probably a little bit overweight. He lives in Delphi, Carroll County. I don't know how far the nearest, tailor place is or whatnot, or even if he would get his clothes made or go get specialty clothing because of his height. If he was a guy that was out there buying Carhartts and, regular type of clothing and stuff that you can get at your Walmart and stuff like that, then I would expect that he'd probably have a situation where if he's going to find something that's going to fit him girth wise, it may be a little bit long or lengthy because he's a shorter dude. And you can see those things. There's evidence of that. If you go back and look at Ron Logan, somebody who's a lot taller, you don't see that scrunched up appearance on his arms. You don't see his pants being overly too long. In fact, when Richard Allen is walking, you can see where his kneecap is. I think that the pants that he's wearing are secondhand. The reason being is, like I said, you can see where his knee is, and underneath where his knee is, there's like this baggy impression into the pant leg that would indicate that somebody else's pants these were somebody else's, and that's where their knee was, which was significantly lower where Richard Allen's knee was at. Plus, you can see this dude's shoes as he's walking, and guy looks like he has very small feet. So in my opinion, based on his testimony or statements, putting himself there in the clothing, testimony that he had about the 3 juveniles walking out of the trail as he's walking in, which corroborates with the juveniles that had a statement of seeing somebody walking in, which they have a picture of themselves on a bench prior to that situation at 1:26 p.m. tells me that he's more than likely the guy. But there's been a lot of questions that have been brought up on, is he capable of committing some of the things that are expected to be believed if he had committed this crime by himself? One, Abby was wearing Libby's clothing. It doesn't appear like there's any blood on the clothing or anything like that. So you would suspect that he changed her into that clothing post-mortem after she had passed and no longer was bleeding. They were put in certain positions. The area was, even from the pictures that I saw, I can't see every angle. But it didn't appear that there was a lot of blood on the ground or anything like that. So there was a lot that went into this. There was quite a few sticks that were placed on the bodies. It wasn't just 1 or 2 on each one. It was quite a few to make what appeared to be some sort of symbols, right? I mean, it could have been random, but I don't think so. I do think Richard Allen is the bridge guy, but Elvis Fields is a guy that sparks me as a person that could have also been involved. And we've seen pictures and videos of Richard Allen in bars and things like that. Is it possible that if Patrick Westphal also went to a bar, or one of these other guys went to bars or frequented the same ones? It's a small area, so I would assume it's probably only a handful in the area. Did they know each other? Is it possible they did know each other? Richard Allen's attorneys like to contradict themselves a little bit by saying that they were unaware of this Odinism stuff. It's a small town. Nobody knows about it. And then also says that it's quite large and everybody knows about it. They say that Richard Allen had no idea and they had no idea, but yet the person that accidentally gets the emails, Woodhouse, I think is his name, he is a Odinist himself. So we're to believe that Richard Allen's attorneys have no idea about this Odinism stuff when their own clients are Odinists, including the one that he accidentally sent an email with some of the defense stuff. Coincidence? I don't know.